Again, I'm still using the same demo project and the same existing constructs that I've been using throughout this module. So I want to remind you how we iterated through our vector of people, just saying auto I equals v begin until it's not v end I plus plus, which increments in a vector way, and then do whatever it is we want to do in our for loop. Or we used r begin and r end to go through it backwards. Here's another opportunity. We could use the standard for each. For each takes the iterator to start at, the iterator that when we get there we know we're done. So again, begin and end, that's easy. And what to do with each element of the vector. And this function print, you could probably have guessed this, prints the number out on the screen. Super simple and kind of annoying to have it be a function, but we need to pass a function. You notice we're not calling it. We say the name of the function here, which actually creates a function pointer. It simply says, this is what I want you to do to each element. So if I run this, you'll just see the same numbers being printed out as always. And reminder that they're not added in sorted order. So we added 3, 6, 9, 2 into the vector. Here, I'm going to find all of the elements in the vector that are odd. So I call a function called findIf. So it's not a member function of the collection. It takes, as for each does, the begin and the end. And if I wanted to, for some reason, start halfway along the vector and go to the end, or start at the beginning and just go halfway through, obviously I could do that with the appropriate iterators. And odd here is a function that returns true or false. That's sort of the rules for findIf. And you can construct as complicated as you like. All I'm doing is using the mod operator to divide I by 2 and take the remainder, which will obviously be 0 or 1. If the remainder is 0, that's an even number. If the remainder is 1, that's an odd number. And I'm returning that as a bool. And you may remember that when you convert integers to booleans, 0 is false and everything else is true. So here, odd numbers will return true and even numbers will return false. So when I call this findIf, it gives me an iterator, a pointer if you will, into a place in the vector, which I can dereference to get the actual element that it points to. If it didn't find anything, it will return the same iterator as v.end. So I have a little while loop here, and if we didn't find anything, we won't even go into the while. Assuming we found something, we print it out, and then we go to try to find the next one by again calling findIf, but this time instead of passing in v.begin, we want to start where we are. In fact, if we start exactly where we are, we'll keep finding the same one over and over again. So we need to increment where we are. And because O, it's declared as an auto, so you don't know it, but it's a vector iterator into a vector of ints. So its plus plus increments it as an iterator. And here I'm using the prefix increment, prefix it before passing it down to findIf. So we take our first odd one that we found, increment it to whatever's next in the list after that, which could be odd or even, we don't know, and say from there to the end, find me the next odd one. If what it found was not the end, it'll print it out and then come around again until it's found all of the odd elements of the vector. The third thing I want to do to this vector is sort it. And I do that by simply calling this function sort. It has a ton of overloads. The one I'm using here just says which piece of the vector I want to sort. I want to sort the whole one, so from the beginning to the end. The possibility of passing in, oh, I would like to sort it in a different order, I'd like to sort it with a special function, those are other overloads that are available for you. We're using a vector of ints, that's easy. There's a less than operator already defined for ints. If I wanted to sort a vector of person objects, I would need to either overload the appropriate operator in the person class or use an overload of sort that's specified just exactly how to sort two persons. Having done that, I'm then going to use the exact same for each that I used before to print out the contents. Let's run to here and then over our new code. Just to let you see where we're sort of starting to. And we'll run through the new stuff. So that was the original contents here, 3, 6, 9, 2. The odd elements are 3 and 9. That's right, neither 6 nor 2 are odd. And then when we sorted it, and by default in numerical order, it comes out 2, 3, 6, 9. And the vector now has been permanently changed. And you can imagine that the sort process involved a lot of copying and cleaning up. And if we still had the telltales in the constructor and destructor, you would see all of that going on. But the vector's been reorganized so that it's permanently in this new order. And I can look at it in the debugger and you can see that it's actually been permanently sorted into that order. If you just wanted to go through it in a specific order, there's ways to do that as well, but this is an alternative to using a sorted container that keeps itself sorted all the time. Stuff things in any old how very quickly, and then when you happen to need it in order, use the sort function to get it into order and then carry on. And these are the sorts of things that are easy to do as a C++ developer who gets the standard library, because you have this same consistency.